everyone. My name is Mirabelle Mowat-Smith. I am the Acting Member Development Manager at Australian Network on Disability, and it's my absolute pleasure to be welcoming you to this session today. I've been managing the Workplace Adjustments Research Project with our wonderful Dr. Catherine Maitland, who is our research lead. For those of you who may be new to Australian Network on Disability, we are a member-based organisation focused on the inclusion of people with disability, and our vision is to build a disability-confident Australia. Today, we're joined by valued members and other organisations and individuals who are interested in more information around workplace adjustments. So welcome to the Barriers and Enablers to Workplace Adjustments webinar. So the acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge Indigenous Australians as the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and acknowledge their continuing connection to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to the people, the cultures and the elders past and present of the Indigenous community. Thank you, Catherine. I'll move to accessible digital meeting practices. So at Australian Network on Disability, we follow accessible digital meeting practices to make sure that our virtual meetings, sessions and webinars are inclusive. One of those actions is implementing any adjustments that have been requested by participants to participate. And we follow meeting rules and ensure that they're adhered to. So you'll note that the facilitators today follow this. We'll have one person speaking at a time and we will state our name before speaking. For people who may be speech reading, the facilitators today will make sure that their camera is on, their face is well lit and faces are not covered. And where content is shared live, like we will be sharing with this PowerPoint pack today, all the content will be read out and that's being displayed. So a big welcome again from Australian Network on Disability. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to this webinar to share the preliminary findings from Australian Network on Disability's Workplace Adjustments Research Project. In this webinar, we will be discussing barriers and enablers to requesting and receiving workplace adjustments across the employee lifecycle. Before I pass to Catherine Maitland, I wanted to take the opportunity to share some context to this project. In late 2022, Australian Network on Disability ran 3 member surveys on employment and disability. Recommendations from those survey findings included building in-depth qualitative research and case studies on specific aspects of employment, including workplace adjustments. This supported the opportunity to build on previous Australian Network on Disability workplace adjustment studies and research, and to continue to develop reliable and current Australian data and information. Workplace adjustments is also a key area that AND supports and consults with organisations on. Australian Network on Disability have been leading the research project from February this year to gather comprehensive information and data on adjustments through desktop research and extensive consultation, including surveys, focus groups and interviews. I want to note the engagement and time given by AND's wonderful Disability Employee Network, who have been supporting this project in many ways, such as feedback on the survey questions and also on the survey platform used. I also wanted to give a huge thank you to the individuals and organisations who have generously given their time in sharing feedback, participating in interviews, and also promoting the project and surveys. We've been really blown away by the generosity and the meaningful insights shared. So I'm now pleased to pass you to Dr. Catherine Maitland. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Mirabelle. Good morning, everyone. I'm Catherine Maitland. I've been working on this research project since I joined AND as the research lead in June. I'm an older Caucasian woman. I have light brown hair tied back, and I'm wearing glasses, green-rimmed glasses, and a tealed coloured shirt. Behind me, I've got the screen for the International Day of People with Disability, which is coming up next week. Thank you all for attending today. It's great to see so many of you have committed the time to hearing about AND's workplace adjustments research. Here's an outline of my part of the webinar today. I'll first define a workplace adjustment, briefly explain the purpose of this research and the research methodology we adopted. Then I'll reveal the 3 key themes that emerged from thematic data analysis, and offer some insights into the experiences with workplace adjustments from the point of view of employers and employees. As many of you know, a reminder that A&D's work is underpinned by the social model of disability and the human rights of persons with disability. So, definition of workplace adjustments. A workplace adjustment is a change to a work process, practice, procedure, or environment that enables a job seeker or employee with disability to perform the essential requirements of their role. You can see this is in line with the social model of disability. The workplace is adjusted, not the person. The purpose of A&D's workplace adjustments research, we wanted to explore processes, experiences, and impacts of workplace adjustments. We wanted to explore the barriers that people with disability, people with mental health condition or long-term health condition face in the recruitment process, and the barriers that people with disability face in the workplace. We particularly wanted to hear from job seekers, employees, and employers about how workplace adjustments assist in breaking down those barriers. We especially wanted to hear and to include the views of people with communication access needs. So our research methodology, well, first of all, I'd like to, as Mirabel did, I'd like to thank and acknowledge all research participants. We had an excellent response to both of our surveys. The response from people with disability was outstanding, and we want to thank all our networks and their networks for sharing the survey so widely. It was an incredible response that we actually hadn't even dared to hope for. We wanted to spotlight the experiences of people with disability, mental health condition, or long-term health condition, as well as employers. We used a mixed methods approach. That means we use surveys to get quantitative data and interviews to capture qualitative data. Actually, surveys are usually regarded as quantitative methodology, but we included several open questions and got a very impressive number of very detailed responses. And this made data analysis a lot longer, but it was so worth it. Of the 182 organisations that responded to our organisation survey, the great majority were A&D members, just 2 were not. The only compulsory question in the survey asked about membership of A&D so that we could actually distinguish between members and non-members. Naming the organisation was optional. We asked that one person per organisation responded on behalf of the whole organisation so that we didn't get duplicate responses from the same organisations. Mirabel and I together conducted 21 interviews in total, split between organisations, people with disability and people with communication access needs. We paid people with disability and people with communication access needs for their time and provided adjustments to participate as required. We also facilitated 2 focus groups with a total of 11 people who were predominantly managers. And here are the high-level themes. This is for the research nerds amongst us. This was grounded research, which means we didn't begin the research with a hypothesis to prove, rather to explore the current landscape of workplace adjustments. Hence, I have inductively and iteratively analysed all the data, every single word of it, to identify, analyse and report on themes or patterns. And this is known as thematic analysis, influenced by Brown and Clark's approach to qualitative data analysis. These 3 high-level themes of attitudes, process and proactive, and the sub-themes that sit under them are interconnected. And together, these themes tell the story of the impacts of workplace adjustments from the perspectives of employers, employees, and job seekers. Today, in the interest of time, I'm going to focus on process. And as we go, you will see, though, how it links in with the other themes of attitudes and proactive. Also, in the interest of time, I'll cover employers and employees' experiences, but not job seekers. That will be included in our research report, which is due early in 2024. So now let's look at employers' perspectives. The image here is of 3 A&D employees actually sitting at our table having a meeting. What are employers doing? Here's some statistics. So 55% of survey respondents have a workplace adjustments policy. 49% have an inclusion officer who advises on policy and provides support to employees with disability. 44% have a help desk or central point to provide information about appropriate workplace adjustments. And 34 track the number of applications for workplace adjustments and whether they're approved or declined. What did employers say were the most frequently requested types of workplace adjustments? Number 1, flexible working location, including hybrid or remote working. Number 2, flexible working hours. And number 3, time off for appointments or breaks to help manage a condition. And interestingly, employees with disability also said the same top 3. Here are some insights into what employers said were the biggest barriers to a successful workplace adjustments process. They said that the local level process is ad hoc. It lacks consistency, oversight, tracking, and accountability. If the process is managed by the HR team, it depends on their capacity and their priorities. This onus is on people with disability to express their needs is actually a really key point that both people with disability and employers recognized needed to be addressed when the onus is usually on people with disability to express their needs or disclose their disability, although they often lack awareness of the supports available. And the medicalized process of providing evidence is inconsistent, lengthy, and inequitable to those who lack hard evidence. What do employers think would improve? What do employers think would improve the process from their perspective? Solutions that were proposed include a centralized process works best with a designated point of contact and central funding. The onus should be on the employers to, 1, proactively ask about adjustments, and 2, to provide a psychologically safe space to discuss, and to prove flexible working for all. In this research, as I said, as well as employers stating this, people with disability consistently talked about organisations taking up the responsibility for taking on the initiative to ask and or offer adjustments, being proactive. And here we see some insights from a manager who was a focus group participant about having conversations about workplace adjustments. And this quote resonates with the proactive approach discussed on the previous slide and sums up what many managers said about the terminology of workplace adjustments. I think we could rely less on the term workplace adjustments and actually delve deeper into what that is and explain that better. Because a lot of people hear the term workplace adjustments and are frightened to make requests. So I find that talking about what a workplace adjustments is in terms of what supports you may need in the workplace to be your best self and providing examples means I'm relying less on just the term workplace adjustments and having a bit more context in those discussions. So by suggesting that the employer uses this kind of conversation starter, the manager recognises that each employee has their own individual contextualised lived experiences. and that disability is not a homogeneous experience, the same for everyone, nor a set of symptoms or syndromes, as we see in the medical model of disability. Now we're going to look at employees' experiences with workplace adjustments. And the image that we see on the screen is an employee who's wearing noise-cancelling headphones and a sunflower lanyard. A sunflower lanyard is worn to signify a non-visible disability. So for the statistic lovers, 72% of respondents have requested an adjustment in the past 2 years. 67 are satisfied, very satisfied with that adjustment. 49% say their adjustment has never been reviewed since it was implemented. And 34% got the adjustment they requested and it's working well. 15% say it's not yet in place. So if 72% have requested an adjustment, that means that 28% have not. So let's have a look at what employees say about what prevents them from requesting. 56% said that they're worried their employer might treat them differently if they ask for a workplace adjustment. 45% are worried about co-workers' attitudes towards them if they get workplace adjustments. And 36% are worried that their manager doesn't know how to make the right adjustments for them and or provide the supports for the adjustments that they need. What do employees say about the impacts of support for workplace adjustments? So the impacts of good support are improved physical, mental, and emotional health. People feel they can be their authentic self at work, and increased loyalty, productivity, and contribution. One survey respondent said, the process of asking for adjustments has been well received, and that's largely due to the supportive managers that I've had. I'll just point out here that there is a risk in workplace adjustments being dependent on the skills and knowledge of individual managers, because managers can come and go. And our research report will actually discuss that in some depth. What do employees say about the impacts of poor or no support for workplace adjustments? People reported feeling daunted. That word daunted came up so many times, and isolated. Feeling it's too risky to share information about adjustment needs because of the way that they'll be perceived, as the earlier slide said. Unfair results, and in several cases, suicidal feelings. One survey respondent said, I have a general feeling based on conversations and comments made that I'm a problem or hard to manage because I have some simple requirements based on common conditions that my employer hasn't taken the time to understand and plan for. Here are what employees would like to tell their employer. This is an example of one of the open questions in the survey that yielded a lot of very insightful qualitative data. And here we can see two completely different lived experiences that capture the impacts of workplace adjustments. I need more support. My workload is so heavy and the adjustments process is so complex that I feel daunted by the process. I would almost rather quit than have the awkward conversations that I need to have with you. And another response, a positive response, a positive experience. I'm now able to park my car near the front door of the building. This has changed my life. So here are some employee suggestions to improve the workplace adjustments process. And these suggestions echo that they are based on my analysis of another open survey question. And as you can see, they echo the three themes that I mentioned earlier: attitudes, process, and proactive. So the first suggestion is to humanize the process, listening and building trust between employers and employees. And that has a lot to do with attitude. The next three relate to the theme of process. Consult with employees, have open communication, and co-design the process. Develop frameworks to communicate and promote workplace adjustments. Develop workplace adjustments policy and processes. And the next three suggestions speak to the theme of organizations being proactive. And this came up, these next three came up so much. Provide examples of common adjustments that have already been approved by the organization and implemented by the organization. Share success stories. So many people suggested this. And provide education for recruitment teams and managers, including identifying unconscious bias. So to finish my part of the webinar, it's clear that workplace adjustments are the #1 enabler to ensure that people with disability participate in the workplace. This research, this big piece of research, was AND's flagship piece of research for the year. We're excited that we're going to be delivering the final report in February, probably February 2024. The report will contain a full range of statistics to support employers to prepare a business case to get workplace adjustments on the agenda and workplace adjustments policies in the workplace. The detailed analysis in that report of qualitative data will provide de-identified evidence-based narratives that employers can share to raise awareness and educate all employees about workplace adjustments, attitudes, process, and being proactive. Those of you watching today who are not yet members of AND, please get in touch to discuss membership that can support you on your workplace adjustments journey. It's time to prioritise fair and accessible workplaces that benefit everybody. Thank you so much for listening to my part about the research, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Peter Magic now to guide you on your way.
Peter speaking. Thank you so much, Catherine, and I'll just allow a little time for the applause that you're receiving there for that wonderful research report. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Magic. I'm the project manager at the Australian Network on Disability, and I'm greeting you all here from Bunurong Land here in Naarm, or very soggy Naarm actually, here in Melbourne. My pronouns are she, her, and as an audio description, I'm an olive-skinned woman. I'm very grateful to be enjoying the second half century of my life. I have short brown hair, I'm wearing glasses and a red top. Thanks again, Catherine, for sharing your insightful research and giving us a taste of the report that's due out in February. I know how much valuable data you and the team have had to explore, and I want to again I know it's already been thanked by Mirabelle and yourself, but thank all of those that have contributed to this research report. So employees with disability, employers, and all of the other stakeholders and friends of the Australian Network on Disability. We're really looking forward to that final release of the report next year. And I believe this will be essential reading for employers wanting to gain a deeper understanding of workplace adjustments and the impact that they have on the lives of people with disability. Today, I'll be speaking to the Australian Network on Disability response to the Disability Royal Commission final report and our Disability Employment Essentials series, which is a series of how-to guides to support employers. So it's been exactly 2 months to the day since the final report of the Royal Commission into the violence, abuse, neglect and exploitation of people with disability was handed down to the government. This report followed 4.5 years of hearings and landed at 12 volumes, close to 7,000 pages and 222 recommendations. Australian Network on Disability is profoundly disappointed that employment did not feature as prominently as we would have liked in the final report. We know that as a community, we need to do so much more to boost disability employment. Our initial response to the final report of the Disability Royal Commission can be found on our website. And as part of that response, we released a report on the business case for disability employment targets. As the peak body for employers advocating for the employment of people with disability, and as a network connecting organisations across private, public and not-for-profit sectors, we believe greater action is needed to close the disability employment gap, which has remained unchanged for 30 years. And we believe that disability employment targets are the solution. So you can find a lot more out about our business case for disability employment targets in that report on our website. We know that employers are wanting to build their capacity to recruit and retain employees with disability and be able to access the whole talent pool. We've asked our members what support they need and we've listened to them. And so in the coming weeks, we will be releasing our Disability Employment Essentials series, which is a series of how-to guides that will support organisations to effectively increase disability employment in their organisations and support employees with disability. I'll just move, hopefully I've taken control of the slides and I can move to the next one. So this series of how-to guides includes 4 guides. The first is capturing disability employment data. The second is offering and implementing workplace adjustments. The third is inclusive recruitment practices. And the 4th how-to guide is around building a disability confident culture. And they all include essential information on the foundational elements that will enable the achievement of disability employment targets. And just as an image description there, I'm noting that I have not just thrown in a picture of a very handsome dog to get your attention. This is the cover page of our how-to guide for offering and implementing workplace adjustments. And we have a picture there of a support animal who just happens to be Milo, a very well-loved member of the Australian Network on Disability team. And I can see that Milo is getting quite a bit of love, as he deserves. This guide is designed to help employers understand the importance of offering workplace adjustments so that they can support their employees, ensure compliance with legal obligations, and build a disability confident culture. The guide is informed by Dr. Maitland's research and consultation with our members. We know that discrimination occurs when an employer does not make reasonable adjustments for employees with disability. And so we ask employers to be proactive, ask the question, listen to your employees and recognise the importance of workplace adjustments in enabling employees to work safely, work productively and thrive in the workplace. As I said, our guides will be released in the coming weeks. Look out for further promotion in our communication to members, our newsletter and on social media. And if you're not a member, as Catherine said, please reach out to AND or Australian Network on Disability and find out how you can become a member. Again, thank you to all of the organisations who participated in the interviews and focus groups that we ran over the previous months this year to support the development of these resources. And before we finish up for today, and I can see we've got a bit of time left, I did want to remind everyone of the upcoming International Day of People with Disability on December the 3rd, which is just around the corner. December is upon us. The Australian Network on Disability encourages everyone to celebrate this day, which aims to raise awareness and promote equity for people with disability in all aspects of life. We've compiled a comprehensive workplace kit with resources to support organisations. So this includes banners, social media tiles, posters, Teams backdrops, as you can see behind me. And finally, thank you everyone for attending the webinar today.